Greetings nerdy list aficionados and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd, and today we're doing something a little different and looking at portrayals of a character, this time the Joker. So let's start with some caveats. People have different tastes, and just because someone is more universally acclaimed or panned doesn't mean you'll feel the same. And it also doesn't make you a better or worse fan to be with or against the group. So long story short, too late I know, like what you like and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Now let's take a look at some of them. I'm Sasha and these are the top 10 Joker performances. Let's go. Number 10. Kevin Michael Richardson. Of course this list has voice actors on it. Voice acting is acting, don't let anyone tell you different. So Kevin Michael Richardson voiced the Joker on The Batman, the first Batman animated series outside of the DCAU. The Batman ran from 2004 to 2008, and it did try to do its own thing and differentiate itself from its predecessor, Batman the Animated Series or Batman TAS. This was a hard task, as that series is still considered by many to be the Batman series. Richardson provided a bit of a different take on the Joker, staying in the high-pitched range of mania but also dropping down real low for emphasis and menace when he felt it called for it. It was dynamic and unique and suited the character, who admittedly had a bit more of a different design than people may have been used to seeing. Shoeless, the dangling sleeves, it put some people off. But The Batman was a show that if you embraced it, you just had to embrace it for what it was, itself. Hats off to Kevin Michael Richardson, who is too often forgotten.
Every time I bring my brand of funny to Gotham, the only sound I hear is...
Number 9. John DiMaggio. Now John DiMaggio is an acclaimed voice actor who has lent his voice to many well-known and beloved characters. Of them all, my favorites are probably Bender from Futurama and Jake the dog from Adventure Time. But he also portrayed the Joker in Batman Under the Red Hood, and his rendition was a bit gruffer than usual, a bit coarser, and it fit with the darker tone of that movie. I mean, they get pretty graphic with how much of the crowbar beatdown they show, and the blood. Okay, coming from a time when blood wasn't allowed, seeing it on screen in cartoons is still a bit of a big deal for me. This performance is often put behind Jensen Ackles in that same film as Jason Todd, but it holds up. This is a good adaptation of this story. You know, before some of these DC animated movies were like, you know how people like the plot, which is why we're adapting it? Well, what if we just changed it?
I'm going to need something to wear in a very big truck.
Number 8. Jared Leto. I know for some, this is blasphemy. Hating Leto's performance is like one of those entry cards to nerddom. It's like you're at a club and you said you hate Leto, right? You can come in. But I postulate, this performance matches the movie it's in. And I can hear the jokes now. So terrible, lol. Okay, haha, lull it up. But it really does. It also matches the Batman in its universe. Batman and the Joker have to match, it's essential. This Joker is an opposite to Batfleck or Sadfleck. And him not always smiling, that's also not uncommon. Actually, in his first ever appearance, he's pretty grim. The design is a look, I'll say that, but it's not a performance you forget. Unpopular opinion, but I think the worst performances are ones that are utterly forgettable. Like how so many people forget Val Kilmer was Batman. No one is gonna forget Leto. The sexual stuff was interesting too. It was a different take, and that's a risk. Does it get more hate than it deserves, or is the hate spot on? Share your thoughts down below.
You helped me by erasing my mind what faded memories I had.
Number 7. ZACK Galifianakis. So this is from the Lego Batman movie, and it's a much more whiny, comedic take on the character, which works with the tone of this film, which is largely satirical. So a whiny, pining Joker works. A Joker entirely driven by the plot of essentially bitter exes. The Lego movie quite lovingly pokes fun at a lot of things. Lots of different interpretations of Batman for many people. This movie reminded many people that Batman could be fun. So yeah, worthy of a mention for sure. Also just because lots of people go away going, what? That was ZACK Galifianakis?
And save the city or catch your greatest enemy. You can't do both.
I'm sorry, what did you just say?
You can't do both, I said.
No, I mean the other thing.
Number 6. Michael Emerson. So here we have the adaptation of Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, a key work in the Dark Age and for many a must-read Batman story. It tells the dark Elseworlds tale of a dark future and a geriatric, coarse, hard Batman. And it was also really key in popularizing those panels of TV screens, a trend that would dominate comics for part of the 90s. The Joker here was, well, he was quite clearly in love with Batman. This comic is often studied when you're talking about canonical Bat jokes queer subtext. The Joker is literally catatonic till Batman returns. Now, Emerson's performance is interesting, as it is a blend of many. It has a hint of HAMILL mania, a dash of Romero charm, but it also plays with being ordinary, like just a voice you could hear from an ordinary person, which in a way really adds to the menace, particularly during the talk show scene. The idea that he could be anyone. It's an interesting take, and it's not done too often.
It's all right. I want people to get me.
All right then.
That's why I'm gonna kill everyone in this room.
Number 5. Jack Nicholson. So Batman 1989 was a big deal. For years, since the Adam West series in the 60s, Batman had been in limbo. There had been pitched projects and ideas, but nothing really stuck. It took a long time to crawl out of the camp hole. I mean, I get it. It's a good hole. So in this, Jack Nicholson plays it as a suave mobster, eventually turned more crazed mobster. It's a more controlled crazy when compared to some of the others, but it really works for the Burton universe. And it was the first live-action Joker in so long. The rictus smile was also iconic. The mirror scene. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? This movie and this performance have some truly iconic moments. The performance vacillates from showman to cold killer, and it's fascinating to watch. And of course, it's a great foil for Keaton's Batman, who people really weren't sure about. He's too short. He's not handsome enough. He's a comedic actor. Everyone always has words for who they cast as Batman. You have to run the gauntlet before you even perform. It's rough.
Tell me something, my friend. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Number 4. Cesar Romero. 60s Joker. He even had a green mustache. Did anybody else notice that? Cause I always did and I loved it. Now that's attention to detail. So the Batman 60s series was going full Silver Age and doing it hard, but contrary to popular belief, it knew what it was doing. So this was even campier than some of the Silver Age stories at times, and it was fully on purpose, so don't let it fool you. Sometimes people forget that people in other time periods before their own knew what irony, satire, and all kinds of other things were. So Cesar Romero, for some growing up, he was the Joker, the fun-loving clown prince of crime, with a manic presence and charismatic performance, one that is still emulated by many. It's a fun time with the Joker in this series.
Come, my funny fellows, we've got a little diamond cutting to do.
Number 3. Cameron Monaghan. So this isn't supposed to be the Joker, he's the proto-Joker, so is his brother, allegedly. But Monaghan pulled off many dynamic performances on this series, pretty much every type of Joker there has been. Dangerous, manic, calm, collected, obsessed, so many, also all the different looks. Now this is another one that's polarizing for some, but Monaghan works hard to make each of his versions different and unique, and it shows. Gotham could be a bit of a mess in terms of hitting its stride and focus, but whatever they asked of him, Cameron always delivered, and he had a great laugh. With Monaghan you could pick and choose, which many found appealing, while some felt it was an overload and too much. What are your thoughts?
What's the secret to good comedy? Timing.
Number 2. Heath Ledger. So no list would be complete without Ledger's Joker from Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. He appeared in the sequel film The Dark Knight. This was a very dark, grungy take on the character, much more of a nihilistic anarchist. It was a more dangerous take, and one that many found more realistic, which was a point that most who enjoyed Nolan's trilogy felt he had brought to the fore, and with that realism came credibility. Ledger became one of the actors to fully inhabit the role and vanish within it. There is also a tragic mythologized element to this performance now because of Ledger's untimely passing shortly after, which for some became linked to him playing this role, despite the insistence of many close to him that that was not the case. This portrayal was an iconic one, and the look has become an inspiration for many portrayals since, particularly the overdrawn lips.
You let 5 people die. Then, you let Dent take your place. Even to a guy like me, that's cold.
And in at number 1, Mark Hamill. I'm sure many of you were waiting. You knew. Mark Hamill's Joker is the Joker for many, the voice they hear when they read comics, the one in their heads, the one against which others are measured. Hamill brought an energy and uniqueness to the Joker's voice, finding a way to make it completely his own, to the point where oftentimes when people portray the Joker, it is him they emulate. For many, he has become the standard to achieve, and when you hit that level of performance, it's safe to say that you have well owned the character. That happens sometimes. A perfect match. Hamill just really got into it. He actually used to perform the Joker standing up, because that gave him the amount of energy he needed for it. Mark Hamill is amazing. Enough said.
Just send $40 million to me, the Joker. That's $40 million. Operators are standing by. And remember, don't Send it airmail.
So before we end, this was filmed before Joker was released, so I don't want to see any "what about Joaquin?" No, I'm not ranking a performance I've never seen. Maybe it's amazing. Let me know where you feel it belongs down below, people of the future and those with advanced tickets. I'm Sasha, and thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid, and we'll see you again soon. Bye!